Hey guys, it's Hunter. Welcome back to another episode of Agufish. This is a series where I normally answer the questions you guys leave on Discord. This time though, we've been going through and breaking down the new lineups for the brands, identifying what the trends are, putting them in context, and it's time to talk about Jackson because it's one you guys have been asking a lot about. With good reason. Out of nowhere, they've been going off recently. So smack a like on the video if you're going to enjoy it. That massively helps satisfy the almighty algorithm's wants and desires more than you might realize. Pray for my editor because this is probably going to be a long one, and let's take a closer look at what's going on with Jackson guitars. Let's start with what Jackson themselves are highlighting as the main standouts in the 2024 lineup. Middle of last year, they announced the Pro Plus series, and this was a big deal because for the first time, in addition to all the standard Jackson specs like graphite reinforced necks, compound radiused fingerboards, and spoke wheel truss rod adjustment, Jackson would have a whole line of high-spec production imports with stainless steel frets. Not only that, but Luminlays and ebony fingerboards on all of them across the line as well. The series launched with an ambitious number of models. Seems like a lot of them are just coming in stock because they're still listed as new on Jackson's own website, but they're already adding more to capitalize on the momentum. Now, it's kind of confusing to distinguish which are new 2024 announcements and which are previous announcements since supply chain and shipping are still f***ed and recovering, so all the guitars are kind of coming in stock at the same time. But the Pro Plus Dinky DKA has new indigo blue and emerald green quilt top colors, while the Soloist SLA3 has new walnut natural and fuchsia burst quilt top versions. All the colors look great, honestly, fuchsia burst especially. In this case, you can differentiate between the two because the Soloist is HSS and the Dinky is dual humbucker, both loaded with Seymour Duncans. But the normal key difference between Dinkies and Soloists, by the way, for the uninitiated like myself, the Dinky body is slightly smaller in its bolt-on, in this case a 5-piece maple walnut neck, versus the Soloist 3-piece maple walnut neck-through construction. For the Pro Plus series, both have oiled finished necks, Floyd Rose 1000s. Personally, archtop Superstrats are so much cooler than flat tops, and I really love the subtle triangle inlays on the Pro Plus Soloist. It's a great compromise for people who like the clean, no inlay look, but still want inlays on the fingerboard for navigation. The coolest new addition to the series, though, the Pro Plus Rhoads in Firestorm and in Mirror. And actually, according to pre-order pages on Sweetwater, it'll come in Snow White and in Deep Black as well. Dual Seymour Duncan distortions, 3-piece maple walnut neck through, matching reverse headstocks. Yes. Finally. Now, I'm not a Rhoads or a V player at all, but what's so cool about this is that for the longest time, your only option for a regular production Jackson with modern specs was the DK Modern. It was weird. That was like the only modern shape they would put any modern specs on. The Pro Plus Dinky and Soloist were great steps in the right direction, but the Rhoads is the shape that started it all for Jackson. Well, kind of. The Rhoads evolved from the Concorde, but you get what I mean. It's arguably their most iconic shape of all time, upgraded for the modern era with stainless steel frets and Luminlays. Love this. And in that classic Jackson mirror finish too, again, not a V-shaped guitar person at all, but that is sick. And listen, you guys sometimes give me a lot of shit for having a boner for stainless steel frets, but like good stainless steel fretwork is like playing on glass. Bends and vibrato is so smooth, and because stainless steel is such a hard material, it stays that way forever. On vintage spec guitars, okay, I get wanting to stick with traditional nickel frets, but on modern spec metal guitars, it's just better. And the Pro Plus series was cool because, while in the past, Jackson had this weird separation in the lineup between their modern models, which was essentially just the DK Modern and the Misha shapes, and the Legacy models, which were, well, just about everything else, this series bridged that gap. You've got the DK Modern, which now has bare knuckle and Fishman Fluence options, which should have been given stainless steel frets a long time ago because for years it had been something that LTD, Schecter, even Dean with their whole chaotic situation had over Jackson with the high-spec imports, but they caught up now, it's all good, we move. And right next to those, you've got iconic Jackson shapes like the Soloist, the Dinky, the Rhoads, loaded with Seymour Duncans, just like the classic Jacksons, then updated under the hood for the modern generation of guitar players with stainless steel frets, Luminlays. And as I mentioned, Sweetwater and Thomann now finally have healthy inventories of the total Pro Plus lineup, including some of the brand new ones. So I'll have affiliate links below for more details on everything we're talking about in the video. You can also bookmark those for later if you're picking up strings, picks, whatever. It doesn't cost you anything. The little kickback supports the channel. Really appreciate you if you decide to do that. Moving on to the concept series, and the concept idea behind these series is really cool. They've basically taken specs, features, shapes, whatever it may be that are generally reserved only for USA custom shop builds and turned those previously exclusive configurations into a line of import production guitars. Just like the Pro Plus series, ebony fingerboards, stainless steel frets, and Luminlays has standard features across the line as well. So the one that immediately stood out to me is the Concept Series King Kelly. What in the flying BC Rich is going on here? The King Kelly shape is super uncommon. The body is larger than a normal Kelly shape, about the same size as a Gibson Explorer. It's also got pronounced beveling on the front and back, and what a viewer referred to as additional bottle opener cutaways for literally extra metal edginess. I mean, Jackson has some metal shapes, and even so, this is inarguably one of their most metal as Alder body wings, 3-piece maple neck through, Floyd 1000, bare knuckle aftermaths, which is one of the most brutal pickup sets out there. Like I said, metal is bizarrely, it's very difficult to find a reputable account of the King Kelly story, but as far as I can tell from piecing together various bits and bobs from all over the internet, all the extra pronounced beveling and those additional points, even in modern guitar making where you've got CNC machines to cut out the main body, a lot of the details like smoothing out the bevels, that all needs to be done by hand. That's a lot of extra work, a lot of extra time. It just wasn't viable for production runs, especially in the mid-80s, so they stuck with the normal Kelly shape instead. So if anyone knows otherwise, please let me know, but to my current knowledge, there have only ever been custom shop King Kellys, making this Concept Series the first ever import production run of the shape. Now, these are definitely not cheap, like at all, but for context, custom shop King Kellys are ridiculously expensive on the used market, if you can even find one. So making it more widely available as part of this year's lineup is a perfect example of what makes this custom shop spec production series so cool. Then a black soloist with radioactive neon yellow Seymour Duncans, a distortion in the bridge, and hot rails in the neck angled to give you a full 27 frets of shred opportunity. A single matching neon yellow shark fin at the 12th fret, super clean, especially with no other inlays. It just looks like there's so much fretboard. It's funny, last year I tried the Ibanez Prestige Design Lab RGA 622XH, and it's like the one Ibanez name I actually remember because I was blown away by the concept of a 27 fret guitar. Turns out it's a thing Jackson's done on occasion for a while. It's just rare, and it's been gone from the lineup. Now it's back. So many frets, that Ibanez Wi-Fi password, and I definitely didn't realize how many new Jackson guitars there were this year. So you know what else is back? Providing the strength and fortitude to power through this behemoth of a video, let's take a quick second to thank today's sponsor, One Shot Energy. They're revolutionizing the world of health and sustainable energy through their supplement-infused candies. And One Shot, they're not just a sponsor. They're most well known for their awesome focus and energy chews, but if you watch the channel, you heard me talk about One Shot's voice drops. Developed with Matt Hafey of Trivium for musicians, streamers, anyone who needs to protect their voice, especially for these detailed lineup breakdown videos where there's a lot to talk about. They've been so good. Ship says the amount of cough drops I go through during filming so I don't lose my voice is my serial killer trait. So rude, but true. With the voice drops though, filming extra long epics like this is super easy, much to my editor Jordan's dismay. And because I'm very sensitive to caffeine, their caffeine-free focus chews are amazing to stay on track, full of vitamins like B6 and B12 and fortified with zinc for a natural energy burst, plus nutritional benefits and immune system support. And then with 75 milligrams of pure caffeine and additional nootropics, One Shot's energy chews are great for when you need that extra kick to get the important things knocked out. In the office, on the road, just pop one, get energized. It's super quick, love it. And unlike energy drinks, One Shot chews have zero artificial sweeteners or fillers, no excess crap, just energy and focus, and more cost efficient. And as a channel partner, One Shot is giving you guys 10% off across the entire site using my code Agufish. Link will be in the description. Discounts also stack, so any deals you see, use code Agufish for an even better deal. And of course, clicking my link helps support the channel by letting them know that I sent you. And while you're checking out the awesomeness that is One Shot Energy, let's talk more about guitars. Next one is a Concept Rhoads RR24. White pinstripes, gold hardware, single EMG 81 humbucker with an EMG PA 220 decibel boost. Very reminiscent of the Stone custom shop Rhoads a certain Alexi goddamn Laiho played in the very early Bodum days. While he somehow never had an official signature model, this is kind of like a Jackson tribute. Even the Floyd is top mounted, not fully recessed, just like Alexi's. Then the whole thing's been upgraded with the modern stainless Luminlay combo. It's been rumored that part of the reason Alexi left Jackson was that his two Rhoads, Stone and Wildchild, were stolen on tour. The Jackson custom shop couldn't get replacements built for him in time. ESP could though, and that was that. So this is almost like a 2-decade delayed response. Look, they're here. Weirdly though, the previous RR24 in the launch lineup, which this one's a bit more of a stretch, but it sort of looks like a combination of Alexi's White Scythe, with the added angle single of his ripped signature. Now, that's got a Floyd Rose original, so that was part of the launch lineup for the concept series, and so I assume the new ones would be the same. It's not. The new ones have Floyd Rose 1000s. Listen, the 1000 is a great trem. It's essentially the same thing, but made in Korea instead of Germany. But a Floyd original is the highest end spec. It's pretty rare on import guitars, so that was cool. Shame the new ones have lost it. Never mind though, because Floyds are a pain in the ass anyways. What you really need is this absolute monstrosity. Multiscale DK Modern 8-string. God damn. This is an Ibanez-ass looking Jackson. 25.5-inch to 27-inch scale length, angled hip shot bridge, angled 9-string Fishman Fluence Moderns. If you've never played an 8-string, they are outrageously stupid and equally as fun. A sub-theme of this year's concept series is apparently so much fingerboard. Mostly the same specs as the Pro Plus DK Moderns. Two weird things about this though. Firstly, Jackson locking tuners instead of Goto like they have on the others. My first thought was maybe Goto tuning peg holes were too small for the massive string gauge you'd be using for the low F sharp, but that can't be it because Ibanez uses Goto on their 8-string dumb chug machine as well. So maybe Goto just couldn't handle how many tuners would be required to supply all these down-tuned riff monsters. Who knows? The second thing is only the tone is push-pull. So you get the active voice 1 and passive voice 2 for the Fishman Fluences, but not the single coil voice 3. Maybe they figured whoever's buying an 8-string multiscale guitar is not too concerned with glassy, clean single coil tones, and they're probably right, but I don't know. They could have made the volume push-pull as well for voice 3, just so you have the option to use all the functionality of the pickups that you paid for. Either way, when they launched, I wasn't too enthusiastic about the concept series. There were some interesting aspects, but still, it was mostly your standard Jackson affair. These new ones, on the other hand, are absolutely wild. This year, I feel like they've done a much better job of realizing the potential of a custom shop spec import series. And it seems that 989,433% of viewers have not realized the potential of the subscribe button, so here's your quick reminder to do that now. It's free, you stay updated on guitar stuff, helps out the channel. It would be awesome to hit 250,000 subscribers this year. Ambitious, but I believe we can do it. So the concept series are at the very top end of the new lineup. At the other end, the Budget JS series has added a 7-string King V and a 7-string Rhoads that cost $249 and $269 respectively. What the f***? I mean, obviously the specs aren't incredible, they're very much budget guitars, but like the 26.5-inch scale lengths, the bolt-on maple necks have graphite reinforcement, the Amaranth fingerboards have jumbo frets and 12 to 16-inch compound radii, just like higher-end Jacksons. Like, what the sh**? A compound fingerboard radius on a $250 guitar? They're also using the DK Modern headstock for all the 7-string JSs, and it looks a little strange on a Rhoads, but to be honest, I don't hate it. Genuinely, I'm so curious to know, like, are they shit or are they actually pretty decent? Because they look super fun. It's a solid string to dollar ratio. In the same series, new archtop dinkies in transparent black burst and in transparent black. The burl tops look super good. When I first saw them on the website, they fooled me. I did not think that these were part of the Budget JS series. Floating trems though, which is always a bold call on a budget guitar. Flat top JS20 dinkies as well, with quilt tops in trans black, trans blue, tobacco burst, and trans green. It's funny how similar these look to the new trem-equipped Ibanez GIOs, especially the two in transparent black. Both have Amaranth fingerboards. Ibanez calls it Purple Heart. It's the same thing. And they both got shark tooth style inlays as well. Different contours, different trems, could easily be the same factory. I wonder if it's a coincidence. And lastly, Jackson refreshed the X series last year with upgraded electronics and hardware. The 2024 editions put extra strong emphasis on 80s throwback custom graphics. For neck through soloists, the dual active humbucker SLX DX now comes in polka dot and in butterscotch camo. It's so lovably awful. The SL1A DX comes in cross daggers, edgy, literally. The dinky DK1A comes in this white tortoise crackle top type thing. Reminds me of the sharp tooth volcano scene in Land Before Time. Super specific core memory reference, we move. Either way, really dig the maple fingerboard with the black shark tooth inlays. And lastly, the X Series Kelly KEX comes in lime metallic green. Allegedly. Maybe my eyes are broken, but that definitely looks a lot more like yellowish metallic gold to me. Again, we move. But yeah, the X series, these are the Jackson-ass Jacksons that never really interested me personally, And even though the specs aren't super great, like Poplar Body Wings, Floyd Rose Specials, it's still cool that they're doing a lot of neck-through versions of their popular shapes at under $1,000. Not only that, but there's a lot of variations with the out-of-the-ordinary finishes to keep it interesting for fans. To be honest, the X series confuses the hell out of me. Some, like the RR24X, come with high-end brand name pickups like Seymour Duncan Blackouts. Most others, like these new ones, come with Jackson design pickups, but they all seem to be about the same price. No idea what's happening. That EMG loaded baritone is pretty sick though. Turns out Luminlays plays one of those. And now that we've gone through the new lineup, that leads us nicely, a million minutes into this video, into the takeaways, because I think more than the actual new guitars, there's a clear shift that makes right now a super interesting period of Jackson's already storied history. Even just recently, things were looking very for Jackson. They were almost starting to look like Fender's Kramer, right? Like they had their niche, their old school 80s thrash type shredders for their existing fans. And to be fair, they nail that. There's clearly always been a passion for Jackson's legacy stuff. But on the modern side, different story. Modern specs limited to just 2 shapes, not allowed anywhere else on the lineup, and even then, they still lagged behind other modern metal brands. Aesthetically, their most modern spec'd DK Modern Evertune looked pretty unmemorable. Bland gray kind of summed up the modern Jackson situation at the time. While that was on the modern guitar side of things, Mark Morton and Mick Thompson, 2 of their highest profile artists, abruptly left the roster in quick succession. They had some of the coolest Jackson signature models. The Dominion was a staple in the lineup for over a decade, and Mick Thompson's SL2 with the fake Floyd for a bridge was just insane. Just a big-ass top-mounted metal sustain block. In fairness, Gibson and ESP seem to suit them very well, and I'm stoked to see what they end up doing for their new signatures. But for Jackson, it was not a good look. They looked stagnant. They looked predictable. They looked like they were just a little out of ideas, and they looked like they're gonna be left behind. What a difference a couple of years makes though. They've been bridging the gap between their legacy shapes and modern specs with the Pro Plus series. Aesthetically, the new DK Modern Evertunes look insanely good with silver sparkle and gold sparkle. Wasn't sure if I'd like the gold sparkle from the website photos, but in person it looks so goddamn cool, and who else is doing finishes like this? The quality of mine, at least, is solid. It's got stainless steel frets as well. It easily competes with the best high-spec imports I've played. And while that's awesome for converting the modern metalcore guys like myself, it's not just about the high-spec imports either. Jackson guitars started in California. That's where its original roots are, and US-built, non-custom shop production models are back for the first time in years with the American series. That's super important for them. And while they've always had a solid roster of established legends like Scott Ian of Anthrax, Marty Friedman, Phil Demmel of Machine Head, and the entire brand basically came into being because of Randy Rhoads, but on the really modern side, you almost just had Gent Godfather Misha. Fast forward to now, all of a sudden though, a ton of new artists from some of the most exciting bands in modern metal are joining the roster. Might have to do a whole video on this topic alone because there's a lot to talk about. But Mike Stringer of Spiritbox, who have absolutely blown up into one of the biggest bands in the modern metal scene, he just recently showed off a couple of custom shop baritone Surfcasters loaded with Fish Influence Moderns and Evertune Relics metal sleeper guitars. Those are so cool. Josh Smith of Northlane, I don't know what's going on in Australia, but whatever magic that makes the toilets flush the wrong way also apparently grants them incredible metalcore powers. That's entirely a myth about the toilets flushing backwards, by the way, but not about the metalcore. Australian metalcore just hits different, and Northlane are one of the most innovative in the scene. Josh Smith has his beefy Evertune and bare knuckle loaded 7-string baritone, roasted maple neck through, and an aquamarine. It's like a classic Strat that's been brought to its full chug potential. Sleep Tokens 4 has shown off a couple of new Jacksons as well. The scale and speed in which Sleep Token have exploded is absolutely wild. The Atlanta date is still a few months away. I waited like maybe a day after US tour tickets went on sale. They were already gone. My extreme sadness aside, he's now playing an 8-string Monarch with Fluence Moderns and a Lundgren loaded baritone Monarch with a 30-inch scale length. Oh my god. It's got an Evertune as well. Super low-tuned, chug-happy single cuts. On this channel, that means they automatically win. And then with the Pale Moon Ebony fingerboards, so evil. Love it. And it's still unclear what's happening with Lee Malia. There's a bit of a will they, won't they situation going on, because he seems to play what he wants, but he's definitely favoring his Jacksons these days. I have literally no idea how Bring Me the Horizon started as a deathcore band and are now outrageously popular, to the point where they're doing collabs with Ed Sheeran. It's absurd. But more importantly, for the topic of this video, Lee has been playing an awesome custom Surfcaster. He's just shown off a relic version they made for him recently as well. Now, while nothing's been officially announced yet, I'm willing to bet significant monies we're looking at guitars that will serve as the basis for some crazy cool Jackson signatures in the pipeline. So you see what I mean? From looking like they might be in trouble with their biggest players starting to leave, all of a sudden, Jackson's artist roster is becoming one of the most exciting in modern metal, and really just metal in general. Case in point, for the American Series Virtuoso promo video, you had Clint Tustin of Era, Dave Davidson of Revocation, Misha Mansour of Periphery, Debbie Goff of Harriet, and Marty Friedman of being Marty goddamn Friedman, all playing together. One, that collaboration is rad as hell, and two, it re-emphasizes the underlying message of the Pro Plus series. They're moving past that weird separation between legacy and modern and actively bridging the gap between generations of heavy music through Jackson's strong heritage. Or maybe that's just me over-romanticizing a dope marketing campaign. Either way, we move. So Jackson has had a lot of momentum. That's all awesome. The last takeaway though, much less awesome. And I talked about this in the LTD lineup breakdown video as well, but good God, high-spec import guitars are expensive now. And just like I've said before, because of my work with Harley Benton, I'm familiar with how obscene the numbers are that factories and suppliers and shipping companies are quoting to get guitars made and then transported to the US and to Europe. So I understand why we're seeing what we're seeing, but those numbers still hurt all the same. And some of Jackson's spec choices are just weird as well. Like, I get prices are rising, but sneakily downgrading the original Floyd to a Floyd Rose 1000 on the Concept series that still costs $2,000, not cool. And on the topic of trems, on the X series, combining Seymour Duncan Blackouts with the Floyd Special, also bizarre. Overall though, the Pro Plus series especially is looking like a decent amount of spec for the dollar, at least in the context of today's market, where a neck-through Epiphone with no stainless steel frets and a Laurel fingerboard is $1,700. Oh, I hate inflation, dude. Epiphone out here catching strays, and I love Epiphone, but like, some of the prices just hurt. Anyways, I've rambled on for so long now. Jordan is probably dead from editing this video. Everyone, please thank Jordan for his sacrifices, and here's where I'll throw it to you. What do you think of Jackson's new lineup, of their modern metal artist roster revival? What do you think is the coolest new model? Are you thinking of picking anything up? Or nah, you're holding out for Mike Stringer's baritone Surfcasters? Any and all thoughts? Drop them down below. Massive shout out to my amazing patrons who support the channel. Their names are up on the screen right now. Consider joining them if you like what I do and get bonus extras. You can also join as a channel member or pick up some merch. Everything goes back into the channel and really helps out. Social media, Discord, and affiliate links to all the gear we've talked about are in the description. As always, thank you so much for watching. You've been awesome, and I will see you for the next video.